Michelle Caruana, owner of Climbing Vines Cafe and Play and creator of Play Cafe Academy. And in today's video, I want to address something that we've been getting asked a lot lately. So it's January, we're in the middle of winter, flu season is running rampant, and we're also in the middle of our busy indoor play season. So we're doing 6 birthday parties every single week. We're serving dozens and dozens of families every single day for open play. We're doing events. We have a lot going on. There are a lot of people in and out of our space, and something everybody wants to know is, how do we clean our space? What do we use? What are our cleaning processes? And how are we keeping our customers safe? So I'm gonna shed some light on our processes and also give you guys some tips about keeping your indoor play spaces clean. But before I get into the details and all of the tips that I have for you, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I put out a new video every single week. All right, so my first tip for keeping your indoor play space clean, and something that we have done since the beginning, is have a mouthed toys bin. So it's actually right behind me, it's the red bin. I'll put a close-up on the video, but basically anytime a child has a toy in their mouth or around their mouth or anything like that, we ask that parents utilize that bin. We also have one in the baby area to make sure that those toys are immediately removed from rotation and that no other child is going to pick that toy up and put it in their mouth. Now, of course, this process isn't perfect, but we make sure it's very apparent, it's red, it's labeled, and we do let customers know if we're walking around and cleaning the play area that we do have that bin available for use. Now, depending on how busy we are, we might be cleaning that bin several different times a day. I'll show you guys what we do to clean our toys, but basically we're trying to keep it as empty as possible because a lot of times, you know, little kids can't read, so a lot of times they'll see a shiny red bin full of toys and they might try and grab some toys if it's overflowing. Now, of course, parents are supposed to be supervising their children, so this doesn't happen, luckily, too much, but we do try to make sure that it's as empty as possible so that it looks as least appealing as possible to those little hands that can't necessarily read or understand what the function of that bin is. So especially if you cater to children that are under 2 years old, that are still, you know, really putting things in their mouth a lot, you should definitely have at least one mouth toys bin, probably a couple. And again, you should be emptying that multiple times a day. Another way that we like to keep our space clean is we have cleaning supplies everywhere. So something that I found when we first opened is that employees are much more likely to clean, and they find it much easier to clean throughout their shift if they have cleaning supplies in all different pockets. So we don't have one cleaning supply cabinet. We actually have pockets of cleaning supplies all over our facility. So for example, if Leah goes to refill toilet paper or some sort of bathroom supplies and she sees some goo or something on the counter, or she sees something that needs to be wiped, or she sees the guardrail maybe needs to be wiped down with a sanitizing wipe, she doesn't have to go all the way to the other side of the facility to our cleaning supply cabinet in order to do that. We have a full cleaning supply set in each bathroom and pretty much around the entire facility so that people are able to quick clean up messes, because when we're in the middle of a party or when we're in the middle of a busy day, she might be very well intentioned and say, oh, you know, mental note, I have to go back and clean that bathroom, there's something on the guardrail. But if she comes out here to get the cleaning supplies and she's stopped by a customer who has questions or who needs something, she could very easily get sidetracked and then not remember and not go back and clean that mess up. So we have these little bins of cleaning supplies everywhere, and again, in our facility, we ask that parents stay with their child, they go to the bathroom with their child, so we haven't really had an issue with children getting into these cleaning supplies. But if you do have an issue, and if your space is maybe more of a daycare-based space or a co-working space where parents aren't necessarily always with their child, you might want to keep a lid with them locked so that children aren't getting into these cleaning supplies. But we luckily really haven't had an issue. And again, I find that it's much more effective to clean this way, so employees aren't always running around trying to find cleaning supplies and getting sidetracked. That way everything is maintained throughout the day and not just at opening and closing. The next tip that I have, and this is more around the types of cleaning supplies that we use, we actually have daytime cleaning supplies and then after closing cleaning supplies. So we have a cleaning supply provider, and they actually will bring us hospital grade disinfectant. However, it says it takes several hours to dry, so we only use it after we close. And that really helps us with peace of mind, knowing that these germs are taken care of. They are no match for this hospital grade disinfectant. And what I love about it is it actually doesn't degrade any of our toys. So even our soft play toys, our plastics, our wooden toys, things like that, we've been using this hospital grade disinfectant that we get from a cleaning supplier for years. And again, we don't use it if children are going to be playing in the next couple hours, but it really helps us, especially during flu season, feel safe that kids are going to come in the next day and face a sparkling clean facility and not have to deal with any germs from the day before. And then during the day, we use more of like a disinfectant wipe, or we might use essential oils with paper towels, but typically more disinfectant wipes just because they're very convenient. An employee can just grab one and go wipe off the most touched items. So what I mean by that is we have a lot of toys with handles, we have a lot of manipulatives where kids are, constantly touching them, like our sensory wall and things like that. That's where the little hands tend to migrate the most. So lots of times during our shift, we'll either have an employee do it or we'll have a parent helper kind of just grab a disinfectant wipe and wipe down those most touched surfaces before we actually go ahead and sanitize everything at the end of every shift. So again, to me, it's not a perfect system, but I found that if you don't make it extremely convenient for parents, if you don't make it extremely convenient and easy for employees, stuff gets left behind, and that's when you start seeing germs build up, and that's when I start to get uncomfortable as a business owner, right? Because my kids play here all the time. So it's, of course my customers are my first priority, but I, wouldn't be able to sleep at night knowing that my kids play here every day if I didn't know that it was completely clean, especially during flu season. And I understand people's hesitation to go to indoor play spaces during flu season because unfortunately I've been to a lot of facilities and not all of them have these cleaning processes. So again, hopefully these tips reach other indoor playground owners and help them, shed some light on the best cleaning practices that we've learned over the last 5 years. And again, it's all about convenience. It's making sure that you hold employees accountable for that cleaning. And that brings me to my next tip. So we have 4 different cleaning lists for every single day. We have opening tasks, we have mid-shift tasks, we have closing tasks, and then we have deep cleaning tasks. And these task lists would be kind of useless if we didn't hold employees accountable to these standards. So we actually have employees mark off with a marker when they did the task, and we have them initial it so that if something doesn't get done, so for example, one of our closing tasks is wiping down all of the plexiglass and all of the glass that we have on our playhouses at the end of each shift. And if somebody comes in the following day and it's clearly smudged and clearly hasn't been cleaned or sanitized, then we can easily track who was working the previous day. Did they initial the task? Did they check it off? So again, we use these task lists, but we also hold employees very much accountable for them. And again, the mid-shift tasks are really those maintenance tasks. So making sure the mouth toys bin is always clean, making sure the bathrooms are always wiped down, making sure that we go and wipe down those most touched surfaces all day long, making sure that if we need to empty the garbages that task is getting done. And then we have closing tasks, of course, which includes sanitizing with the hospital grade spray disinfectant. And then we also have a deep cleaning task list, which includes things like wiping down the floorboards or dusting the top of the playhouses, things that don't necessarily need to get done every single day, but are definitely an important part of keeping our space clean in the long term. So something that I see at a lot of facilities, and sometimes at mine, we're constantly having to reevaluate this and make sure we're doing the right thing, but there's a lot of employees standing around all the time with kind of nothing to do. So I always let my employees know that if you are ever standing around, the first place that you need to go, if all of your opening tasks are done, if all of your mid-shift tasks are done, if there's no, party favors to be made or anything like that, the first thing that you should do is look at that deep cleaning task list and see what you can accomplish off of it. Because let me tell you, that is about 20 hours worth of cleaning on that sheet if someone were to go through it from top to bottom. So there is absolutely no excuse for any of our team members to be standing around at any time. There's, the fridge could be cleaned out, the prep table underneath could be moved and swept. There is an endless amount of tasks that could be done if somebody is standing around. So again, it's important to have the task lists, but it's also important for employees to know which tasks are their biggest priority, what should they do if they're standing around, and again, make sure they have something to do if they are standing around, because we employ a lot of young teenagers and a lot of young adults, and I found that if they can stand around, that's when the phones come out, and that's when customers start complaining. So we make sure that there is always something for people to do. Another tip I have is sanitizing stations. So we have 8 different sanitizing stations all over our facility. So even though we're only 2,500 square feet, we make sure to put hand sanitizing stations absolutely everywhere, and we encourage customers to use them. We always make sure they're filled, and again, we put them in places where there's high traffic and people are much more likely to use them, because again, it's all about empowering everybody in the facility, not just us, to keep this space clean. So I highly recommend getting as many hand sanitizing stations as you can, because people definitely appreciate it. Another thing that I would recommend, especially in flu season, we do not do this all year round just because I feel like we have a really good handle on our cleaning process, but something that we do a lot in the winter, especially if flu season is especially bad, or if hand, foot, and mouth is especially bad that season, is we have monthly deep cleans, and we actually hire an outside cleaning service that is comfortable with commercial grade equipment and things like that, and we have them do a complete deep clean of our space. So we have them move our couches and clean under it where germs can sort of hide. We have them actually lift up all of our foam floorboards and clean under it and sanitize the carpet, because the carpet is something that we can't necessarily sanitize ourselves. So if I feel like our facility needs it, we have our carpet sanitized. Even though they're very low pile, I still feel like germs can hide in them. We have our upholstery sanitized and things like that, and that just really helps, again, give me peace of mind as a business owner. It gives our customers peace of mind, and it helps us keep our facility very, very clean at all times, because again, we've been open almost 5 years now, so having these deep cleans kind of hits the reset button and make sure that there are no germs hiding in any of those corners that we don't necessarily get to every single day. And I would think of this not as necessarily a cost, even though it is a cost, but it's really an investment. So we make a big deal when we're doing a deep clean, like on social media. We'll take pictures of us lifting up the floorboards. We'll take pictures of the carpets being sanitized, and it gets a lot of positive traction because, again, not all facilities do this, and parents really appreciate seeing that behind the scenes stuff and understanding what our cleaning processes are and actually seeing it with their own eyes, because I could say all day that we sanitize every single thing every single day and we are spick and span, but if they don't actually see it, they might not necessarily believe it. So we make, again, a big deal on social media whenever we do any sort of deep clean or anything like that, and we get a ton of positive comments. So I highly recommend thinking of it as an investment, almost like a marketing investment, because again, it's going to give people peace of mind, and if they did have hesitations about visiting your facility or even booking a party at your indoor facility, it's going to give them a lot more peace of mind, and it's going to make them more likely to actually book with you. All right, so the last tip that I have for you today is ask for your customers' help. And this is something that even we could do a little bit better on. So we have some signage around our facility that basically says, it's a picture of Doc McStuffins, I'll put it on the video, but it basically says, if a toy is broken and needs to go to the toy hospital, please let us know. Because one of the most infuriating things as a business owner is a toy getting broken and then a parent just kind of hiding it, or a child kind of hiding it and trying to, hide it under a pile of dress-up clothes or something like that. We want to know if something needs to be replaced, because if we don't know, we're not going to be able to fix it. And something that's really frustrating is a lot of times a child or another parent will find those broken toys that usually a parent, but sometimes a child, kind of stashes away. And they'll say, why is this broken toy here? It's very dangerous. And if we don't know, we don't have eyes in the back of our heads. We try to walk the play area as much as possible, but we can't be everywhere at once. So if an employee, if a customer breaks a toy and hides it and then another customer finds it, that is not a good look for us, and we want to make sure that we reduce that as much as possible. So we have signs all over that says, it's okay, toys break, just please bring it to our attention so that we can preserve the safety of the other customers that may stumble upon this broken toy. And that's just one way. Something that I love is one of the other facilities on the East Coast, I believe they're in Ohio, so not the East Coast, kind of a little bit more west, but Cafe Au Play actually has Sanitation Board, so I'll throw a picture up, but basically it says, you know, if you want to grab a paper towel and sanitizer and wipe off some toys, feel free, go ahead. They're actually empowering customers to help them keep their facility clean. And I could see how some parents could get a little turned off by this, but as a parent who is very conscious of germs, you know, I have 2 very little boys, and I'm always worried about bringing them to other facilities because of sicknesses or things like that. So I actually love seeing things like that, and I think it's so cool that they put it right out there and they give other parents and other customers the tools that they need in order to help them keep the place clean. And it kind of makes it feel a little bit more like a community because we're all working to keep the space nice. We're all working towards a common goal of protecting our children, protecting ourselves, and again, making sure that everybody stays healthy. So my biggest advice with that tip is, again, don't be afraid to ask customers for help. I remember when I first saw that, I was like, I only had a baby. I didn't have 2 toddlers who were always putting things in their mouth, and I said, you know, I don't really like that as a customer. I don't like knowing that, you know, I'm responsible for cleaning, but it's actually really the opposite. They, of course, still go through all of their deep cleaning procedures, but they're, again, asking people to help throughout the day, and I actually absolutely love that. And one other thing I wanted to mention before I leave is we, according to New York State Health Department, have to have a commercial grade dishwasher that actually has a sanitizing function. So something that we've been being very cognizant of over the last couple of months is making sure that we buy toys that can go into this machine. So previously we had a lot of like wooden toys, a lot of really porous toys that weren't really able to be sanitized in this way, or we also have like a steam sanitizer that sanitizes toys. Anytime I make a new purchase, I make sure that it's of a material that can be steam sanitized or sanitized in the dishwasher. I love the look of some of those other toys, and we do still have a lot of wooden fixtures and a lot of wooden toys, and we still clean them with disinfectant wipes and that hospital grade cleaner I mentioned, but it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, there's a lot of nooks and crannies. So if as a place-based owner, you can invest in as many pieces of equipment and toys as possible that can be put in those steam or dishwasher type sanitizers, the easier your life is going to be, the healthier your customers are gonna stay, and the more peace of mind you will have. All right, so that's it for today's video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. I'm sure I left some things out, so I'd love to elaborate if you guys want clarification on anything, but other than that, I will see you guys next week. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a video. Have a great day.